Good morning, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. This is Rich again, back for your first video blog of the day for Friday, January 29th, 2015, around 7:42 in the morning, Berwick, Massachusetts. It's going to be a mix of sun and clouds today. Highs about 41, 42, maybe a chance of some rain or snow showers because there's a coastal storm too far out at sea to affect us significantly. That's how it's been so far this winter, but no serious accumulations. And after this goes, it's going to be warmer than average for the next 6 to 10 days, and winter's getting deep into winter. Only 50 more days to spring. Be spring-like temperatures next week, 40s, 50s, and 60s. I hope the first official day of spring we don't get blasted with a 3-foot blizzard. That probably might happen. And one little news item, it's Happy Kansas Day because 165 years ago today, Kansas became the 34th state to join the Union. No Bruins or Celtics scores because they didn't play last night. And that's about it on the news. My first video blog subject of the day is about the top 10 everything and anything. I've now reached the top 10 classic TV game shows that need to be revived sometime in the near future. ABC is going to be reviving a $100,000 Pyramid, and To Tell the Truth for a summer run this summer. And got me thinking, maybe network should try to revive a lot of classic game shows for summer runs. And here are the top 10 game shows that the network should revive for a summer run in the near future. Number 10 on this list is Supermarket Sweep. Supermarket Sweep was on in the 1960s on ABC, but its most famous version was on cable in the 1990s on Lifetime and PAX, which is now Ion Television, hosted by David Ruprecht in the 1990s. And it had 3 teams compete of answering questions about food products to get time, so they could go on the supermarket sweep where they could get all kinds of food and the totals. If they got the most food with the totals, they would go on to a bonus round where they would have to find 3 products for a chance of $5,000. It was a great game show. It should be revived. There's rumors that a syndicator is pitching the idea to television stations. We'll wait and see if it gets revived. Number 9 on this list of the greatest TV game shows that need to be revived for the network sometime in the near future. Name That Tune. Name That Tune was a classic musical game show in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Its most famous hosts were Tom Kennedy and Jim Lane. It was a music identification game show. It was a real hit, especially the $100,000 one in the 70s and 80s. There was rumors in the late 2000s it was going to be revived by CBS for like a prime time series with Donny Osmond as host, but it never came to fruition. If they ever revive Name That Tune, there's only one man I could see hosting it. That's right, I'm predicting that Ryan Seacrest will host a revived version of Name That Tune if it ever comes to fruition, because he's like the Dick Clark of this generation. Number 8 on this list of the top 10 classic TV game shows that need to be revived for the networks sometime in the near future is Tic Tac Toe. Tic Tac Toe was a famous game show in the 1950s, which was playing Tic Tac Toe 3 in a row for prizes and merchandise. That 50s version was kind of rigged, but when it came back in 1978, it was a big hit in syndication. It lasted 8 years in syndication with Mark Tindale as host. They had a revived version in 1990 hosted by Patrick Wayne, and his famous quote was, "You win!" But the 70s and 80s version was the best. And they had a bonus round where they could beat the dragon, where they could get big prizes. That was Martindale's most famous game show, and probably a subject for a future video blog. I haven't done Tic Tac Toe yet. And if Tic Tac Toe gets revived, I could see the potential payoff to beat the dragon for $1 million. Number 7 on this list of the top 10 classic TV game shows that need to be revived in the near future. Split Second. Split Second was a rapid-fire question and answer game shows in the 1970s on ABC, hosted by Tom Kennedy. It was revived for a year in syndication in 1986, hosted by Monty Hall, which was produced in Toronto, Canada. Monty Hall also co-created and produced this show, and I think this show needs to be revived as a rapid-fire question and answer game show with a potential payoff for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Number 6 on this list of the TV classic game shows that need to be revived sometime in the near future, Treasure Hunt, which in the 1950s it was hosted by Jan Murray as a comedy game show with questions and answers. It was revived in the 1970s when it was produced by Chuck Barris, and they changed the format to be it similar like Let's Make a Deal, and it always had women contestants on it and was hosted by Jeff Edwards. Right you are! And the women contestants could pick one box out of potential 66. Jeff Edwards had to memorize all 66 lines of the potential boxes, and he did not forget one of his lines. And some of these, like, he built anticipation for the women who picked these boxes to see if they could get a big prize, like a trip or a refrigerator or a clunk, which was a worthless prize, their version of a song, or $50,000. If it ever gets revived, I think the stunts and the acting will be more of a sexual themed nature. Number 5 on this list of the top 10 classic game shows that need to be revived in the near future, Truth or Consequences. Truth or Consequences was a radio game show in the 1940s, hosted and created by Ralph Edwards. It made the transition to television in the 1950s. It was hosted by Bob Barker. That was his first big game show he hosted it for 20 years, and Truth or Consequences started out with Bob asking a silly question that nobody could answer, and they would play some ridiculous stunts which were very, very funny. If they ever decide to revive Truth or Consequences, I think the stunts will be more crazier or maybe a little more death-defying, because we're now in the reality television age. Number 4 on this list of the classic TV game shows that need to be revived in the near future, Concentration. Concentration lasted for so many years on NBC, had a variety of hosts, Hugh Downs, Ed McMahon, Bob Clayton, Jack Nas, and Alex Trebek. And I think this would be a perfect game show to be revived either on NBC or one of their cable networks. Number 3 on this list of the top 10 classic TV game shows that need to be revived, What's My Line, the greatest panel game show of all time, lasted over 25 years, hosted by John Charles Daly, Wally Bruner, and Larry Bennon. And the last time it aired was 1975. There's been a lot of times tried to revive it, but it was shut down because they didn't like the pilot. But I think they should have revive What's My Line, and the occupations would probably be more crazier and more out of the sexual themes things. Number 2 on this list of the top 10 game shows that need to be revived in the near future, Card Sharks, which is a question and answer show where they could predict if each card was higher and lower. The most famous version was 1978 through 1981 with Jim Perry on NBC. Bob Eubanks hosted one on CBS for 3 years. Bill Raftery, a season in syndication, and that awful Pat Bullitt one that lasted 13 weeks in syndication. 2001, I think that they should revive Card Sharks, but probably more and more of the questions would be more like adult theme, like sexually suggested, and it'll probably be a hit. I would remove that 10 people probably really didn't like that. I think the money card would be probably for a potential $100,000. And number 1 on this list of the top 10 classic game shows that need to be revived sometime in the near future, Match Game. Match Game was one of the most funniest game shows of all time. Lasted over 30 years. Gene Rabin hosted it for close to 20. It was basically a match game in the 60s, but they revived it in the 1970s for humor and double entendres. famous panelists include Richard Dawson, Charles Nelson Riley, Brett Summers, and a whole bunch of others. Tried to revive it a few times in syndication and the networks, but it failed. But if they try to bring it back now, I think it would be probably a hit, because with Family Feud having more like of the adult themed questions, if they put kind of adult themed questions into Match Game, it would be a hit. Most of these game shows now, which is real popular, like Family Feud, they use more and more adult themed questions, and that's how probably the ratings for these game shows would be if they would do it, if they used adult themes, which some people really don't like, but I think that generates ratings. Hate to say that probably generates a lot of ratings, and it'd probably be big hits. And that's about it on that. I'll be back later, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. 2 more video blogs coming your way. One about the former WWE Tag Team, the Body Donnas, and MBTA Bus Route 7475, Harvard Square, Red Line Stop to Belmont Center. Keep calm, everybody. I'm a Jew living a guy. Molly Rosenblatt of WCCO rocks and has nice legs. Elizabeth Hart is so stunning. She's the best. Don Mitchell of Fox 9 rocks. Amy Swenzi of Wish 2 is awesome. Barbara Gibbs of ABC 11 has that sweet southern accent, and she's got nice legs as well. And in the words of Sean Lucha, get out! Don't forget Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and Google Plus. Questions, comments, concerns, shout out to plugs. Private message me, and it will be addressed, and it will be shouted out and plugged. And I want some, and you could send me some questions, because probably in the near future, when I end one of these video blogs, I might take a couple of questions at the end. If you don't send me questions, comments, concerns, shout out to plugs, I can't plug them. Bye now.